Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Hybrid Friends. Today with a new video and hopefully with a helpful one for the or in regards of the new announcements Satya Nadella made during I think Ignite in Paris. As you may already know, or you may already saw one of my articles here, is that Microsoft announced M365 Local on Azure Stack Local. I would do a separate video about that later, but today I want to discuss one thing which burns beneath our nails is I need to have Azure Local, I need to have partners, I need to have an OEM who provides me a solution. And what I've noticed through all of my projects I was doing for Microsoft back in the time is that often customers, partners, OEMs struggle with the right sizing. There's a lot of untrustness between the partners, the OEMs that they overcommit hardware, they overcommit resources, and no one is really able to calculate the resources you need. The Microsoft sizing tool gives you a hint, but it does not really work well for different vendors, different hardware configurations. So it's very limited. There is a solution out there which is vendor independent, which is working great for any partner. And I'm working with that tool quite a while now. Luckily, I got an access to help develop it and to give my feedback to it. The company developing it is Acuutech. You may already saw them on the channel. And the tool is ScopeSys. We had already a video about ScopeSys, I think 1 year ago. But today, a few things changed. It's more open now for partners. It's now consumable through the Azure Marketplace, so you can install it from the Azure Marketplace. And it makes a lot of things much easier as they now not only integrate solutions from Lenovo, which was in our demo in the past. It also now has Dell, HP, Lenovo, Cisco, and many, many others. So you can really work with them on their solution. What we will do today is, let's say, go through the onboarding experience of ScopeSys as soon as you have your account. I will just play the customer and partner who never works with it and go through everything with you and maybe start first client, start a new configuration. But there will be more in the series to get more insight into ScopeSys, also talking to the account management from Acuutech about what they encountered with their partners, with bombs, let's say where the customer or the partner sent over a ScopeSys config and what the hardware partner made out of that one. But I said, today we will take a look into ScopeSys as a newly onboarded customer or partner, and let's try to get something working. So let's start first with the Acuutech page. I will link it in the description. So that's basically ScopeSys, and the traditional way of buying it, you just contact our friends from Acuutech and they will give you access to the license. That's how they made it up for me. So they added my Entra ID to a specific tenant on ScopeSys, which I will show you later. And yeah, here's just some marketing information about it. As I said, the tool is totally there to help you scoping. As soon as you're onboarded, you will receive a PDF document, which is quite small and written by the awesome David Monks. And it describes the first steps. So the client requirements, how to access ScopeSys. So you will, as already said, you will get an email from invitations at Microsoft inviting you to the Entra Federation for ScopeSys, for all accounts you need and what you purchased. And then you will more or less get access to the Acuutech scoping system, or ScopeSys. When you're there, you see the partners. In this case, it's just named Microsoft, as I'm working still as a Microsoft employee while taking that video, but also later on continuing as a Microsoft community person. That's where I got my lessons from, just working with them as a community ambassador, and also helping improving the tooling through my experience. So then we go on to my clients. So it was already pre-created for me in this case, but you can do it for yourself if you have certain different accountants, different the units who work together, or just having some subcontractors or some partners. We can add a client group. Let's say that's my Azure Local client group. You can also use a corporation, or let's say, okay, that's my Azure Local client group. And then I have a larger customer group. Let's say it's the Awesome Corp, where I have more customers in. So both would work. So maybe my smaller customers here, and then I have my Awesome Corp. In my Awesome Corp, I create a new client, which we maybe would then call More Awesome Company. Now we have two options. We can upload a snapshot. So there is some tooling from Acuutech which can take a snapshot from the environment, and you can upload that. Personally, I don't have one, so I didn't take one in the first place. If you're interested how to do that, I would then bring an engineer from Acuutech to help you with that and create a guidance for that. But at the moment, we would just add new requirements, as you would do as a company or as a partner when you talk to your customers. And you can already do that while you're speaking with the customer. So that's how I did it, or my the engineers I work with did it. We say, okay, it's for Azure Local, new deployment 2025. We will add our workload items. So we have a few virtual machines, like say domain controllers, which are smaller, say 2. Then we have a few systems where we are doing rendering jobs or something like that. Let's say another 2. Then we want to add more services, like you will have a SQL database. We will add Azure Virtual Desktop or VDI workloads. So we have just a few developers here. So we're working with 12 developers. You can change that if you like. It's adding 1 developer here. And then you have some office users, some desktop users, for example, and then we have 10. And what you already see, it changes a lot on the side here. So it already tells us how our population could be and gives us a hint. So now we can just, whom we want to work with. We can have more. At the moment we will see Dell. So I would choose for Dell. As you may know, I know their system's pretty good. Then we can say, okay, if we have enough space in our environment, so we don't need to use one new servers. If you have only a few slots in your, or a few units in your rack left, you can also say, I would just want to have one new form factor. Let's leave that out. So it's pretty, you can go very deep into detail if you like. You can also use sled chassis, which is for example the formerly C series from Dell, where you have a 2U unit, or larger ones where you have a lot of systems like blade servers. You can also choose those if you like, if it's supported with your vendor. So Dell. Then we can also change our storage options. We can add more mirroring space, like we want to have 30% mirror, so that we will increase our performance. We want to have a few terabytes of parity, let's say 10 terabytes of parity. We will also have 50 terabytes of mirrored volume. We want to have additional data throughput. So that's everything you can encounter throughout your solution building. And we want to have, let's say, at least one node failover. We want network high available. And here we can choose, for example, Windows Server and HCI and Azure Local can run switchless or switched. If we have a larger cluster, more than 2 or 3 nodes, you will need to move to a switch configuration. Before that, you can also have switchless. If you want to expand your cluster, if you want to have more servers in the future, and you want to calculate now, I would recommend to say, okay, I will also use switches for smaller clusters. And then it will automatically add a switch. So let's hide a few things. And now we can also add replication failover if we like. So that's more or less record-aware clustering or scale-out file server functionalities like we have. But at the moment we will not add that. And now we have already a configuration. One thing, here you can create a snapshot. So if you want to have a t-shirt sized deployment for your customers, so okay, I'm deploying branches for retailer or stores for a retailer, which have always the same size, have always the same workload. You can create a snapshot out of that, save the file, and upload it next time, and get the next or newer models for your sizing. So what we see here is now, after we did all that stuff, we see what Dell has in their portfolio. And we can now choose, okay, what do we want to use? We can also switch to, let's say, Lenovo and see what Lenovo has. Or if you're not that agnostic, we could just work with everyone else. And for today, we say, okay, we'll choose the Pariba from Dell, and that's what we get as a capacity. In the past, before the whole automation was in, you were able to, let's say, change network requirements and say, hey guys, I only have a 10 gig network. Then you would have got a warning, okay, your 10 gig network will not work. So you will have decrease or issue with your IOPS. With the whole automation in, you will see, okay, I will require 25 gigs. And if we increase the cluster, say you want to now have 50 extra large machines, we will need to go back and see what we can do. Okay, as you can see, there's there is no real solution which can satisfy us, as we don't get enough cores into the systems. So go back for 25. Now we have a solution. Now we get it done. And it will require 8 nodes from, in this case, Dell, Cisco, Lenovo, HPE. And also shows you a good thing. Dell in some configuration would require 7 nodes and only 5. So from a view perspective and what you can achieve, it's amazing. You can also add more things like another VDI session type and what the requirements are for your specific workloads. If you need to go deeper, if you need to do more consultancy on that. You can add more VM types. If you, for example, have a certain solution which is not t-shirt sized, which requires a different amount of memory to run, a different amount of CUDA cores, etc., etc. You can also add that as your custom configuration, which is pretty nice. Also, your personal IOPS you require. You can also adjust the ones which are given. I wouldn't recommend that. I would always create new ones. That's my learning, because at the end, it's like I'm changing the given configuration, and if I want to take a snapshot or if I want to continue with the t-shirt size, I can't go back or need to just find the or create a new template and then see what the configurations are. That's why I'm always adding new containers, new VDI session types, and new VM types. And if we're done, we just can download that, give a description, and send it over, for example, to Dell or to another vendor who's not on the list and is, let's say, working with or can work with those solutions, and say, okay, I want to have service from you with those requirements. Make me an offer. So it's a pretty amazing tool. It's not that expensive, so I think it's around $20 a month per license, and it saves a lot of time, and you will get really something out of that. And as you saw, I changed my config. It also recommends me 100 gig switches now for my storage network. It includes a lot, and it can also be taken for Azure Local, Windows Server HCI, maybe with a certain difference from, let's say, the usage perspective. You can maybe also size Proxmox with it, as the capacity, as the usage on Proxmox and HCI and Windows Server is fairly similar. I said, my recommendation here, it's a vendor-independent tool. It works for the 4 major vendors, and also will add more and more like data on. So I discussed with Babash yesterday, and they will also add data on, and more vendors who want to work with them. Otherwise, even if you have a Dell offer, if you have an HPE offer, you want to go for Supermicro, Blue Chip, Thomas Crenn, whoever you work with, it's just CPUs, motherboards, memory. They use the same components, so they can work with the sizing. It's just the motherboard changes. But the performance normally stays the same. So from my end, I really like that tool. And if you want to know more about it, there's also the ScopeSys documentation you can leverage, which is a lot already to read. Yes, the PDF document is fairly limited, but it just should bring you into the portal and later on to the overall documentation. I hope that really helped. And that small demo shows you the capability of the tool. If you want to go deeper, as I said, I will have additional chats on the tooling, on the learnings with the Acuutech team. What I want to achieve, or what I wanted to achieve with that video is helping you with the struggles, sizing your servers, sizing your environment. It will also add M365 in the future. So I already discussed with Bhavesh, who's their CTO. They will also add that in the future as soon as they know more of the requirements from the service itself. So it's fairly early in the stage of knowing that, but they're already in contact with the OEM with the development teams, and try to get all required information to bring that into ScopeSys as soon as possible. But as I said, it's fairly early in development for M365 and also for ScopeSys here. So don't expect anything in there too soon, too early, but it will be there as soon as possible. I hope that helps. As I said, it's vendor independent. They are happy to work with other partners out there who are interested in Azure Local, even if they have their own project business. They are happy if you want to use ScopeSys or another tool, which is Auto Deploy. I will introduce Auto Deploy maybe later this year. I just need to get my own environment up and running to test it and show it to you. But Auto Deploy, for example, can take the configuration from ScopeSys later on, and then auto deploy the services servers as soon as they arrive. That's a development goal I think they are working on, to integrate both tools to make the whole experience for Azure Local customers, Azure Local partners, much easier, and help us to, let's say, gain back the data center space sovereignty using the Azure services and Azure Local services. And as I said, leave me feedback. Hopefully it helps. There will be more in the future. As I said, I'm back into making videos, writing blogs after some time. So thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.